Hello, my friend, and welcome to Something for Everybody. My name is Aaron Machbitz, and today is a solo episode of the podcast where I'm discussing my top 10 most important mindset or mental skills. And for a little backstory on where I found these and why this is important to me is outside of this podcast, which is one of my main jobs and one of my most important things that I do running this podcast, Something for Everybody, I also own and operate a sports performance brand called Champions Adjust. And the most important thing we do in that brand is we do athlete mental skills training. More specifically, I work with baseball players on how to unlock the inner life. I work on how for them to grasp the most important mental skills, mental tools, so they can be calm under pressure, so they can perform their best when the lights are the brightest, so they can recover from errors and mistakes faster than anyone else in the field. They can develop that confidence. They can play well even when they don't feel confident. All of these things, their preparations, their routines, their pre-pitch, their mental skills, their mindset, how they want to attack and approach the game, practice, performance, all of these things are developed and enhanced through our mental skills. And that's what we do at Champions Adjust. And Champions Adjust is an extension of this podcast. They all really go hand in hand. A lot of the episodes I record here, I send to a lot of the players that I work with for extra work, extra videos, and reinforcement on the stuff we're doing in one-on-one sessions. And so with Champions Adjust, I do one-on-one coaching, group coaching, I have classes, and all of that stuff called the Champions Adjust Mindset Program. In also Champions Adjust, we have another podcast which is daily, and we also have merchandise. You can go click the link below if you want to check it out more. It's just called champsadjust.com. But this podcast is really sort of the main producer and where I like to flush out some of my ideas. And through the Champions Adjust Mindset Program, I have developed what I stated at the top was my top 10 most important mental skills. So we work through these through our 4 pillars of the Champions Adjust Mindset Program, really honing in on each mental skill, how they can develop it, the reps they need, and how they can apply it in a game setting to allow them to unlock their full potential. And now, yes, I work specifically with baseball players, but I also talk about some of these things when I'm out public speaking or working with groups or organizations or schools. And so all of the stuff that I'm doing sort of works hand in hand. I've just been able to really develop it and really see its utilization on the baseball field. But these top 10 mindset or mental skills, tips, tools, and tricks, or hacks, just tips and tools, can be applied in every domain of your life. So hear these, register them, write them down, take some notes, understand how you can apply them in the domain you're in, and then go see your life just get better, and you can try and unlock that best version of you on and off the field, or as a mom, as a dad, as a lawyer, as a plumber, as whatever you are trying to be the best at. And throughout the years, I've studied various people, and so these top 10 skills were influenced by my favorite mental skills or sports psychologists, Ken Ravizza, Brian Cain, and Dr. Michael Gervais, as well as some of these insights from the Heroic Training app. So those 4 people are really what influenced how I got super concrete on these top 10 skills, and then I flushed them out, made them my own, and now I'm going to present them here to you guys to see if you can use them in your life and how they can be beneficial for you and your inner life and unlocking your best self through these psychological or mental skills. So let's jump right in. Number 1 is control the controllables. Control the controllables. Most importantly, attitude, effort, and response. There are always going to be things that are outside of our control, especially in a sporting environment. Umpires, weather, other team, parents, coaches. So many things can be outside of our control. And one of the most important things to do is list those things that are outside of our control. Draw a circle, and on the outside of that circle, list all of the things that are out of your control. So you can name them, you can see them. And so when you start to think about them, you can revert back to, that's outside of my control. I need to let that one go. I need to let that one go. And then inside the circle, which is your circle of influence, things you have influence over, what you do have full control over. And yeah, there's a bunch of things, but let's really dial it down so we can make it as simple as possible. It's your attitude, your effort, and how you respond. It's your attitude, your effort, and how you respond. So knowing that those three things are in your full control in almost every situation and every setting you're in, whether that's sports, business, work, life, school, it doesn't matter. What's your attitude? It's a choice. Your effort? It's a choice. How you respond? It's a choice. And so if it's a choice, that means it's under your control. That means you have the power to influence it. So it's in your circle of influence. And so if we can get really crystal clear on controlling the controllables and not putting mental bricks on top of it. Like walk around all day with a bunch of bricks in your bag, a bunch of bricks in your backpack. That's all of the things that are weighing you down that you don't have control over, that you're letting control you. Yes, it's harder said than done to just let it go. But if we're not first aware of it, then we can't do anything about it. We have awareness, then we accept that it's true, and then we move into action. Okay, so how can I consistently remind myself that I have control over my attitude, my effort, and my response? And I'm going to try to be as dialed in and as focused on those things, because those are my circle of influence. Outside of everything else, I'm just going to try and let it go. So number one is control the controllables. Number two is a question. Are you breathing? Our breath on and off the sports field, in the house, in the classroom, everywhere is our number one resource to get us back into the present moment, to calm ourselves down, to slow everything down, to slow our heart rate down, and not just like a real big intentional breath. With my athletes, especially with baseball players, I call it a big league breath. Take that big league breath in through the nose, fill up the diaphragm, hold it at the top, and then push everything out through the mouth. We have to remind ourselves to breathe. The more we breathe, the more we can hone in on what's inside of our control. The more I breathe, the more I have power over my response. The more I can continually tell myself to give my best effort. The more I breathe, the more I can make positivity the choice that I need for my attitude moving forward. So as a reminder, simply ask yourself, are you breathing? Of course you're breathing. That's how we stay alive. But are you breathing in a way where you're anchoring to the present moment because of your breath? Are you breathing in a way where you're using your breath as your best friend, as your life force, as something that revitalizes you and gets you back into the present moment? Because if you can't breathe properly, intentionally, and optimally in those specific moments where your heart is racing, you feel nervous, you feel tension, you're losing focus, like, okay, let's use our breath. Let's use our breath to get our flashlight of focus back to what is important now. Because if you don't have this breath, then all the other skills we're going to talk about become useless because you don't understand how to use them because you're not in the present moment using your breath. And so yes, we want to control the controllables, attitude, effort, response. But the way we do that, initially it starts with the breath because we have to slow ourselves down. We have to slow our heart rate down. We have to be able to calm ourselves into these moments, still playing with intensity, but being relaxed with this intensity. A lot of contradiction there, but it means something. Relaxed intensity, calm alertness, like Huberman talks about that a lot in his podcast. So that's number two. And then leading off number two is number three. Be where your feet are. Be where your feet are. I like to use the acronym WIN, or what's important now. If we can constantly be asking ourselves that question, what's important now, then there's no way that we can't be in the present moment a little more often than we are now. Because greatness is expressed in the present moment. That's where all great things are expressed, in the present moment. And so how often can we stitch these moments together, moment by moment, by moment, by moment, by moment, and be as present as possible, as consistently as possible, especially when we're doing something that we care about, like a sporting event or a business meeting or a presentation or in the classroom or having a conversation with your spouse. How can I be exactly where my feet are? Not having one foot in the past or one foot in the present, not having one foot in the past and one foot in the future, but having both feet exactly in the present moment, being in the present moment. expressing that greatness, listening, encouraging, doing whatever you're doing, knowing that this is the most important thing that I'm doing right now because I'm exactly where I need to be and I'm exactly where my feet are. And we get into the present moment more often through our breath, through an intentional, optimal breath, and reminding ourselves what's important now. This moment. It's present. It's a present for a reason. It's a gift. Be here now. Boom. That's how you do that. So those are 3 so far. Let's go to number 4. Be where you need to be when you need to be there. This is really about being a great teammate. And it's about owning and executing your role to the best of your ability. Be where you need to be when you need to be there. This works in every single domain because everyone is a teammate. Everyone's in a community. All things are relationship based. We want to have pro-social behavior. So whatever your role is, not everyone can be the best or be the leader or be the top guy. But every single person has an important role that allows the team to move and flourish in the right direction. If there's one part missing or one part off, the team doesn't flourish as well as it could be. So if you take on the responsibility of saying, I'm going to own my role to the absolute best of my ability, I'm going to execute my role to the best of my ability, and every single person on the team or group or organization makes that fundamental commitment, imagine how good you can be moving forward. Let's take baseball again for an example. If my guy is asked to put down a sacrifice bunt, to move the runner over into scoring position late in the game, to give us a chance to score this game-winning run or tying run, to win the game or tie the game or whatever the case may be. And this guy comes up and maybe he's one of the best hitters on the team, but in this specific instance, his role is to sacrifice his at-bat, to bunt the baseball, to move the runner into scoring position, to give our next hitter the opportunity to drive him in. If he owns that role and executes to the best of his ability, he has given us the best chance to win. Now, if he doesn't do that and decides to half-ass his bunt attempt or not even try, and then he ends up getting out, striking out because you're not respecting your position, then the next guy has a harder chance. Now he has to hit a ball in the gap for maybe that guy to score from first base. We don't have him in scoring position, so maybe 2 hits have to score him now instead of 1, right? He wasn't being a great teammate there. He was being selfish and did not execute or own his role to the best of his ability. So you need to be where you need to be when you need to be there. Owning your role, executing it to the absolute best of your ability, no matter what role it is. Because the more you do that, the more responsibility you're given. The more responsibility you're given, the more you have to really, really have extreme ownership over what that role is. And so that's a really important piece, specifically as a teammate or trying to be a cohesive, connected team, is that you want to really own your role. And you own it and you dominate it, and people really, really respect that. And if everyone makes that full commitment, that's a great team to be on. So number 5 falls right in line with number 3. Again, number 3 was be where your feet are, or what's important now. Number 5 is the time is now, the place is right here. That simply means this moment is the most important moment. And for me, it reverts back to something that I say to my players all the time is, what's your self-talk? What's your number one mantra that you want to say to yourself as often as possible to get yourself back into the present moment? So I encourage them to have a 2-word mantra. For me and our team, it was compete and dominate. I said compete and dominate. Compete every single pitch and dominate one pitch at a time. You put those together, it's compete and dominate one pitch at a time. That's how we wanted to play as a team. And that was how we knew that the time was now, the place is right here. Let's play this game one pitch at a time, and let's compete and let's dominate. But another frequent phrase that I love for them to use is bring it on. And I think that's really what this means. Bring it on. Why? If the time is now and the place is right here, that means we are accepting the challenge of this moment. How cool is that? Life is all about accepting the challenge. So why not just say, bring it on? I know you guys watched The Rock in 2000 in the 90s. What did he do? He stuck his arm out. He went like this and he said, bring it on. Now that was cool. But really there's a lot behind it. He's saying, come get some. I'm here. This is my moment. And you can use this in any domain of life. For me, I use it for my players who are walking into the batter's box or walking onto the pitcher's mound and they're about to face someone who's just as good, maybe better, right? Whatever the case may be, I'm accepting this challenge. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I'm going to do my absolute best right here to bring my best, and I'm accepting this challenge. Yes, this guy's the number 2 hitter in the country. Whatever. Bring it on. The time is now. The place is right here. That's that intensity that I was talking about, but I also have relaxed energy. Why do I have relaxed energy? Because I'm using my breath to slow my heart rate down, to slow the game down, but I have intensity for this moment because of what I'm saying to myself. Bring it on, baby. Bring it on. And self-talk, as we know, is the number 1 predictor or enhancer of confidence in the moment. So that's number 5. Bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on. Number 6 goes in line with what I just talked about for our team mantras of compete and dominate. It also goes along with number 1, which is control the controllables. And number 6 is give 100% of whatever you got to the next pitch or the next moment. And how I summarize that, which I've said a lot on this podcast, is full effort equals full victory. I've defined success as giving my best effort. So anytime I give my best effort, which is something that's in my control, I consider that a success. Now, your energy levels are going to vary depending on the day, the moment, all of these things. So you're giving 100% of whatever you have to the next pitch, the next moment. That's why I like to say one pitch at a time, one pitch at a time. You can say one day at a time, day one, day one, day one, day one. And how many moments can we stitch together using our breath, understanding what's in our control, right? Those things are powerful. So I'm trying to give 100% of whatever I have to the very next pitch, to the very next moment, because I know that full effort equals full victory. I am not in control of the outcome. I have influence over it. Of course I do. I have influence over it, but I know that I have full control over my effort, And if I give 100% on the next pitch and the next pitch and the next pitch and every single pitch in that baseball game, my odds of the outcome going in my favor are much higher than if I took a bunch of pitches off. I only played hard in a couple innings. I only played hard in the last few innings. No, I made the fundamental commitment that if full effort equals full victory, I'm going hard every single pitch, knowing that in between pitches, in between innings, I can relax a little bit. I can do my pre-pitch routine. I can have these moments where I'm allowing my mental energy to grow back up. So when I get back on the field, I know that one pitch at a time, compete and dominate. I'm giving everything I have to each pitch, one pitch at a time. Full effort equals full victory. Now take that into whatever domain you are in and apply that because it works. It works. We don't have control over the outcome, but we do have control of our attitude, our effort, and our response. Knowing that full effort equals full victory will give you the results more often that you want than if you don't give full effort. Number 7, play badly well. This is the definition of Champions Adjust. Why I named this company and program Champions Adjust. Because if you want to reach the elite level of anything in life, you have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to adjust to the present moment, to the unfolding environment, to new circumstances, to things that are outside of your control. And sometimes we're not going to feel our best. We're just not going to feel our best. And so we have to be able to play badly well. We can't only play well or do well on the days where we feel great. We're not going to feel great all the time. Our energy levels are going to be low. Didn't sleep much that last night. Got a flat tire on the way to work. Kids kept me up. Long night. Did this, did that. Decided to go out. Blah, 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 blah. All these sorts of things can happen. And if everything has to line up perfectly for you to be able to play well, you're not going to be able to perform at a high level on a consistent basis. You have to be able to show up even when you're not feeling your best. And that's what Champions Adjust means. If I want to be a champion, I have to be able to consistently adjust or pivot to the unfolding environment so I can be where my feet are and adjust to the present moment. And that's what this idea of spiraling up is, right? We go up, 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 up. We had this moment right here where something takes us a little bit back down. Up, 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 up. Right there is the control the controllables. Our attitude, our effort, and our response will either spiral us back up or spiral us back down. If I'm able to continually spiral up, knowing that setbacks and challenges and obstacles are an inevitable part of this experience, how can I spiral up and allow those obstacles to make me stronger. Obstacles make me stronger. Allow those setbacks and those challenges and those learning experiences to make me grow into a better person, knowing that I can play badly well, that I can adjust to the unfolding environment. I can strike out in the first inning and be better going into my next at bat, knowing I don't have full control over the outcome, but I have control over how I learn from what I did, what pitches I want to swing at, my mentality and my approach. Okay, so how can I spiral up? I can adjust to my next at bat and continually grow and grow and grow. And that can be applied to every single thing in your life. Boom. Couple more. Number 8, be present, not perfect. Be present, not perfect. And along with that, goes right along with full effort equals full victory, is be the best at getting better. We are never chasing perfection. We're never going to be perfect. But are we trying to be perfect and then fall on excellence? That's up to you to decide how that mental framework works out. For me, it's about being present, not perfect. That's why the ones above are about owning our role, being where our feet are, controlling the controllables, utilizing our breath. All is trying to get down to this mindset frame of be present, not perfect. If our goal all the time is to be as present as possible, then we're not thinking about being perfect, about absolutely doing everything perfectly all the time. So we're tight, we're tense, we're not free flowing, we're not being creative, we're not letting our athleticism flourish, but we're thinking about being perfect. So we're tight. But we release that because that's not part of our control, right? We talked about our circle of influence. That's not in our circle of influence. What is in our circle of influence is our breath, our attitude, our response, all these things we've been really talking about. So what is in our control is how present we can be. If we want to be where our feet are, that says nothing about being perfect. So we reframe that. We add on to that already lesson that we learned today, and we say, let's be present, not perfect. And along with that, my number one goal, which is fully in my control, as Tom Brady says, is to be the best at getting better. And if we have those clear targets every single day, every single moment, and we know that they're reachable and under our control, that allows us to take these steps forward to get 1% better each and every day. And then over 4, 5, 10, 20 years, everything compounds and aggregates. Then you look back at your life and be like, wow, I freaking made it this far, man. Wow, that's awesome. And that's really cool to think about. 2 more. Number 9, you may not always feel confident, but you can always behave confidently. Listen to that again. You may not always feel confident, but you can always behave confidently. You can behave confidently by 3 things: your body language, your breath, and your self-talk. That encompasses our flip the switch method. You have control over your body language. That's part of your attitude and your effort is your body language. I'm making the fundamental decision to have my head up, my chest up, and my shoulders back. That's my body language. Do you think slumped over shoulders, head down brings more confidence? No. Superman pose, head up, chest up, shoulders back. That brings more confidence. Okay, so I may not feel confident, but how can I behave confidently? Cool. Well, I can make the decision to have my head up, my chest up, my shoulders back. What's another behavior that I can do to feel more confident? Well, I can use my breath. Okay, always know that the breath is under my control. It gets me back into the present moment. And then how can I wrap up all these things together in this confidence bow? Well, I can have some great self-talk. And we talked about my favorite one earlier. Could be a 2-word mantra, compete and dominate, or could be accepting the challenge, bring it on. That's how you flip the switch. You body language, boom, you take a big deep breath. Then you have great self-talk that's credible for this moment. Because that's how you increase your confidence. Because confidence is the intense trust in oneself. Intense trust in oneself. And you don't have to feel confident, but you can behave confidently. The more you behave confidently, the more trust you have in yourself, the better self-talk you have, the more your confidence enhances. And that's what we want to think about when we're in the midst of this game, or in the midst of a performance or a presentation or anything that you're doing. Okay, I'm not feeling very confident. Well, I'm going to behave confidently. I'm going to have great body language, my head up, my chest up, my shoulders back. I'm going to take a nice big deep breath. And I'm going to have great self-talk. Bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. That's how you flip the switch consistently, because feelings follow behaviors. Feelings follow behaviors. It's the act as if principle. You want to be a confident person? Act like a confident person. You want to be a confident person? Act as if. Feelings follow behaviors. You may not always feel confident, but you can always behave confidently. And think about flipping the switch with your body language, your breath, and your self-talk. And last one, probably my favorite one, an insight I sort of gathered and put together through Derek Jeter and Tom Brady. Luck favors the prepared. It begins before it begins. We just talked about confidence. Confidence is developed in 3 ways. The number one way is self-talk. We just talked about that. But the other 2 important ways that lead into having credible self-talk, because self-talk doesn't work if you're just lying to yourself. That's why I like to come up with a 2-word mantra: compete and dominate, because that makes sense. That's credible. I can do those things. Those are actions. Those are under my control. That's why I like Bring It On, because it's accepting the challenge no matter the moment, and it's credible and it's real, and it gives me this sense of purpose in the direction that I want to go in. So we have to have that self-talk. But the way we build credible evidence in our self-talk is through our preparation and through our previous success. Previous success is very easy. If you've done something before, you can do it again and probably better. That's why we keep trying to improve. That's why number 8 was be present, not perfect, and try to be the best at getting better. And then we have this idea of preparation. I mean, you can just understand that the more you're prepared for something, the more confident you're going to feel. That's why Tom Brady and Derek Jeter had such an importance on their pregame rituals, on off-season, on spring training, on preseason, on every game lining up until the season, and even the season lining up until they got into the playoffs, because they wanted to feel as prepared as possible when they stepped on the field so they could feel as confident as possible when they stepped on the field. And they know that luck favors the prepared. It begins before it begins. It begins the night before, it begins the day before, it begins the week before. Our summer season just ended for baseball, and you want to get ready for next season, you got to start now. You got to start now. Luck favors the prepared. So again, confidence comes from 3 places: your self-talk, your previous success, and your preparation. Your preparation is huge. You always see the guys who are just like way luckier than everyone else. Yeah, some guys just have great luck, but most of those guys that you see are getting quote unquote lucky are the ones preparing more than everyone else, and they're actually better than everyone else because they prepared so much. It just seems like they're getting lucky. So you want to start getting quote unquote lucky? Well, start preparing like Derek Jeter and like Tom Brady, so that you have the luck on the field, knowing that it begins before it begins. So you want to be the best in the world at what you're trying to do, like Derek Jeter, like Tom Brady. Well, focus on these things and have that preparation that's bulletproof and solid, that when you step on the field of play, whatever that is, you feel as prepared as possible, which means you feel as confident as possible. And then you can even enhance that confidence even more by having great body language, a great big breath, and the appropriate credible self-talk. And so those are my top 10 mindset or mental skills tips. Inspired by, again, Brian Cain, Michael Gervais, Ken Ravizza, Tom Brady, Derek Jeter, the Heroic app, all of these things. And I'm really proud of this list, and I'm really proud of the people and the players that I've gotten to work with who have adopted some of these mindset and mental skills into their game. And so I'll link the list, or I'll just put the list in the show notes below so you guys can actually look at it. And if you want the list like tangible, send me an email. I'll send you the Word document over so you can look at it. You can write notes about it, and maybe you can tweak it and make your own top 10 list. But I appreciate you listening and watching. Please, it really benefits the show if you send this to a friend. If you enjoyed the episode, send it to a friend. That really helps. That's the best marketing tool that we have. And the number one way to support this podcast is just by clicking the link below, joining our Patreon. It's an exclusive community. It's awesome. It directly supports me and this podcast, and you are loved. So just click that link below, support. We got merch down there, all the socials. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe. And again, the best marketing tool that we have is you sharing this podcast with a friend. Send them a link. Send everyone the link. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time. Cheers. Thank you very much for tuning into that episode. And if you enjoyed it, click right here for another full-length episode of the podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe. But most importantly, above all else, please take good care of yourselves and others. And I'll see you next time. Lots of love. Cheers.